Welcome, everyone, to the Fusionary Health podcast. Today, I have a very fun guest with me here at the studio, Doc Rock. And I got introduced to Rocco a little while back. The people at this studio said, you need to meet each other. Y'all are very aligned in your thinking. I was like, sure. We got to talking, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I've not had this type of practitioner on the podcast yet. And I love introducing every single type of practitioner that exists to my audience so that they can understand all the tools that they can use for their own health. So welcome.
Thank you. I love that so much. Your intro is so much better than mine. I'm going to have to take a note out of yours. My goodness, that was like so official.
Perfect. Well, will you introduce yourself to our listeners today so they can learn a little more about you?
Yeah. So I don't have a super long intro, but I'm classically trained as a chiropractor. The reason I say that is because I went through the school, I have the degree, I have all the fancy stuff that hangs on the wall, but I don't really practice anything that I learned in school.
Okay.
I actually work with the vibrational frequency of the spine, and we fine tune that because it turns out that your spinal cord vibrates at such a specific frequency to who you are. It's a better identifier than your fingerprint.
Wow.
And when that's screwed up, you're kind of screwed up.
Sure.
Yeah. And we don't want that.
No. So will you tell me a little more about your practice? Because it sounds super different.
Yeah.
It sounds like you don't sit there and adjust and crack and do all the things.
Yeah. So I don't do any of the popping or cracking, which is it's a lot of why people seek me out. Right. And depending on how medical we want to get on here, we can dive deeper into why. It's actually fun. I work with a psychologist, and he gets it at like the neurological level. So we have like really deep conversations, and it's fun. But from a 30,000 foot view, let's start with the basics of chiropractic, what you would find normally. Because what I do addresses this also. But you have your brain and then your spine. Okay. They're actually one organ.
Sure.
America decided they were two different organs. Mm-hmm. They're not. Brain and spinal cord's all really one thing. The end of your spinal cord is basically your third eye. So right here, you're what they used to call or still call the seat of emotions, in your third eye is where your spinal cord ends, right between your eyes, your eyebrow. And then your spinal cord, in essence, I'm going to speak from 30,000 foot view here for a lot of this stuff, in essence, ends all the way down at the bone you sit on, your coccyx, okay?
Sure.
So if you think of that spinal cord as a garden hose coming all the way down, we played with the garden hose as a kid. You can kink the garden hose and all that kind of stuff. Well, off that garden hose come all these little nerve roots, like little straws. Those little straws directly go to every organ in your body. Okay. If there is a breakdown between the little straw and the organ, like if you're trying to drink your Diet Coke and you pinch it and you can't get it through,
right,
the organ can't function at 100%.
Yeah. Organ
can't function at 100%. Whatever that organ doesn't do it at 100%. Not good long-term and or short-term.
Sure.
So chiropractic, in essence, was developed to basically open up that little garden hose. That's kind of how it came about. We open up the little garden hose, nerve flow's restored, organ gets better, symptoms go away. Oh my goodness, this was amazing. Okay.
Sure.
Which is all well and good, but I started asking questions. And the question I asked was, I believe we are self-healing organisms. For me, the two examples I love to give everybody with this are, if you cut your hand, clean it, because we're smart, and you don't really think about it, you just kind of keep it covered or let it expose to clean air, your body heals it without you thinking about it.
True.
You're never like, boy, send more cells, right? It doesn't happen. Your body does that. Well, that's an intelligent, healthy body that's healing the wound. Right. The other example I give, and you've had children. So when you had your children, did you crave any food?
Yes.
What'd you crave?
My God, it was chips, queso, and hot sauce for 3 months straight. And that's what I ate.
Yeah. Okay. So this is perfect. My mom craved chicken wings. So if I gave any doctor on this planet 3 months, or let's say 9 months worth of chips, queso, and hot sauce, and said, hey, 9 months, you take all that chips, queso, and hot sauce, and you give me back a child, nobody can do it.
It's true.
Your body did it. And you didn't think about it for 1 second. Like on a Tuesday afternoon, you weren't, boy, I hope I make the right lung this afternoon. And then like later Thursday, you're like, you know what? The big toe. We should focus on the big toe. Never happens, right?
Yeah.
So there is an intelligence governing us all of the time. Right. Okay. And that intelligence has to have a highway of communication. Its highway of communication is brain, spinal cord to the nerve, out the nerve root to the organ and back. Boom, boom, boom. Very simple. I believe truth is simple. Okay. So that highway of communication is happening. It's why you can blink and not think about it. Your heart beats at nighttime. You can sleep and still breathe, like all these things. Okay. So that system needs to be open and communicating. So I was asking myself, all right, if we have these bones and the bone moves out of its position and kinks the baby garden hose, who am I to take an x-ray of said bone and decide that that's not where it belongs?
Sure.
I'm not sure that's honoring the intelligence that literally creates life, because I think it knows better than me, right? And this is something a lot of doctors don't want to admit, right? That maybe they don't know, And so I'm like, all right, there's something else here. There has to be something. Why is this bone moving out of alignment? So what that led me to reading research, trying to find results, all of these kinds of things led me all the way to the top two bones in the neck.
Okay.
Them as atlas and axis. Yeah. Other people, basically, if you touch the back of your skull, it's the two bones right underneath it. Right. Okay, right there. That 2 inches, in essence, your occiput C1 and C2, is your brainstem.
Right.
It is the most important part of your body.
Correct.
You could take your entire frontal lobe out of somebody and they can still function. You put 7 millimeters of pressure on the brainstem, it's over. Wow. Right? You're done. 3.5-ish million neurons, give or take what you read, run through a bone that weighs 4 to 6 ounces and is about this big around.
Wow.
Right? That's the brainstem. When one of those two bones, or 3, potentially moves out of alignment and gets stuck, you're kinking the master garden hose to the whole house. Forget about the little one that goes to the lung or the liver or the whatever, right? Sure. We're talking about the master garden hose. You just kinked it at the top.
Yeah.
Now, nothing from basically the base of your skull all the way to your big toe can function at 100%.
Sure.
And when we're talking about human performance, you want it to do that. Now, let's extrapolate that out into reality. Is it a big deal when you're 6? Maybe, because I see 6-year-olds that have some symptoms going on that we would rather not have.
Sure.
Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't become an issue until you're 40.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I have hyper or hypothyroid.
Right.
Well, if you had pressure on the nervous system, and this isn't how it works, but if you've been making one drop too much or too little of thyroid hormone for 10 years, not that big of a deal. 15 years, 1 drop a day, not that big of a deal. 30 years turns into a big freaking deal.
Totally.
Right? And now we're like, where did this come from? Potentially, the nervous system wasn't able to adapt the way it was supposed to. Does all that kind of make sense? I know this is a lot of information in a short amount of time.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's so beautiful to illuminate that for people, because a lot of times I meet people who are like, I sleep fine. I'm fine as I am. And I'm like, do you not look around at society and realize that what we call fine right now is just horrible?
Horrible.
And we think we're fine.
Yeah.
All we are is brewing horrible chronic diseases, calling ourselves fine.
Yep.
So don't tell me that you actually think that you are in alignment. Like every time I meet a chiropractor, I'm always like, this hurts and this hurts. And I know this is like, I can literally feel my body starts telling me like, hey, you should go get fixed. Because of course there's different things. I can tell by how I sit constantly. If you're going to pick one side to sit on, that's a sign that your body's trying to find its alignment.
100%.
And it's not finding it. It's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. Well, not talking about the sleep thing. I was one of those people. I'm like, I have no issue sleeping. If I lay down on this table right now with a pillow, I'm out.
Yeah.
One of my very, very, very good friends told me about mouth tape and taping your mouth shut at night.
Sure. Can you share that with me?
Oh, yeah.
I don't do it, but I keep reading about it.
Oh, you have to do it. You have to do it. Okay. Because of who told me, I'm like, done. Bought the stuff. Let's go. Let's give it a try. Right. Okay. If someone else would have told me about it, I'd have been like, okay, get out of here. Sure. And I didn't read any research, didn't do anything about it. Put this stupid piece of tape over my mouth. I slept so good and so hard. And anybody who knows me, I already sleep so good. I didn't think I could sleep better.
Sure.
And I woke up with so much energy. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Exactly.
So then I start doing it more and more. And now I don't go to bed without it.
Got it.
Won't go to bed without it. My daughter doesn't like when I wear it right away when we go to bed. So I just cut it. So I cheat. Instead of buying the hostage tape, I go to the store and buy KT tape because it's the same thing.
Sure.
And I just cut a strip off and I put it under my pillow, and then she falls asleep and I open up and I put it on.
Nice.
I think you increase like your oxygen intake by like 13%. Someone told me. I sleep sounder. I wake up more rested. My recovery from the gym or anything is definitely increased. Like I feel all of these things happening.
Amazing.
And it comes back to kind of what you said, like I sleep fine. Yeah. Like we think we sleep fine. And then I stayed at a friend's house who had a grounding mat on their bed.
Okay.
And I slept I'm like, soon I'm going to be in straight up comas when I go to bed. Right. So then I bought the grounding mat because I'm like, I slept even better. And now like last night, fell asleep with my daughter, didn't really want to, slept for like an hour. Then I woke up and I was like, shit, now I'm awake, whatever. I didn't fall asleep till it was 1 a.m. and got up at 5 and I'm fine. I had the mouth taste on, the grounding thing. Now I don't recommend that every day.
Sure.
But these things, Matt, like it can be better than where you are. I promise you.
Totally. And I think that's true for inflammation. I think that's true for gut health. I think that's for our toxic burden on our bodies in terms of our physical, mental, emotional inflammation and toxic burdens that we have in our lives, the water, air, food quality, all these things affecting us.
Yep.
But when it comes to sleep, just like I could always de-inflame more and have an even better, more robust gut health and microbiome, I think people underestimate the tools we can use for sleep.
Oh, wow.
I invented a deep sleep tea because I just wanted a nightly ritual that told my body it's time for bed. And I love my tea. Then I have a formula. But I love when it can be simple things or not even consuming. Like a grounding mat is right there. Is it like right in your bed?
It's in the bed. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think I got it from like earthing.com, like the same people the other one did. They have a BOGO right now if this comes out very soon. But I got one for my bed, got one for my daughter's bed.
Awesome.
And I love it. It's just, you don't have to do anything. Just plug it in and all right, don't start with the electric stuff. Stop. Good Lord. I don't want to hear it. But anyways, you can plug it in and now sleep. This is actually interesting going back to the nervous system. Yes. So those top two bones, asking the question of what was happening, I found that those top two bones, when they moved out of alignment, the rest of the spine would move out of alignment in response to that.
Right.
Then that's all I took care of for a very long time. I wouldn't adjust anything else. And I would watch things go away that most people couldn't believe.
Sure.
But then because I like to ask questions, I started asking what is going on now? Why are they moving out? And what I found is profound to me. Your spinal cord vibrates at such a specific frequency to who you are. It's a better identifier than your fingerprint. How the spinal cord is designed to work is it's basically a jellyfish. Okay. Remember, anchor's way up here and all the way down basically in your butt. I have this fancy hair tie for everybody that can't see. I have a hair tie and or let's say a rubber band.
Yep.
Pretend like you're going to stretch that rubber band. And the top and the bottom, that's your head and your butt. Okay. When we deal with stress, the way our spine is supposed to function and does function very normal is it stretches and then it relaxes. The stretch is fight or flight.
Sure.
The relax is rest and digest. We're supposed to go in and out of this all day. You and I right now, we're doing a podcast. We're in a mini version of fight or flight. Very normal. You know, we're not going to have to go poop right now, right? Because this is going to come a full circle, I promise. So because the body's not going to do that because it's in a version of fight or flight.
Sure.
So what happens, again, 30,000 foot view, is that stress in essence pulls on the brain, makes it think that it's in a fight or flight mode, releases all the chemicals it needs to release, and you handle your day. So normal human tension would be in and out of this all day, but it's 2023 and everything is pretty much not normal.
Yeah.
So the spinal cord stretches and can't stretch anymore eventually.
Yeah.
Now it starts to twist. And when the spine starts to twist, this is actually called adverse mechanical cord tension. Sure. Dr. Alf Briggs found it. I can't remember if he was German or Russian neuroscientist, but he was one of the smartest men alive. And it starts to twist. Now the body has to figure out what the heck it's going to do because it can't stay like this. It has to dissipate this tension.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, as this pulls, it's pulling on all those nerve roots that come out of those nerve holes that go to all the organs.
Yeah.
It's changing the vibrational frequency of everything.
Sure.
Okay?
Every organ's depleted.
Every organ's depleted. Now, the cells are depleted. 7 trillion cells are vibrating at a low vibrational frequency, which that low vibrational frequency takes a lot of energy. A lot of people are dealing with chronic fatigue. Yep. Another thing that's happening, see, this is like layered. This is where what I do, why I spend so much time those first visits, because we're really explaining like the multitude of layers. When the spine starts to pull like this and twist, what it's actually doing is it's shutting off our higher cognitive thought because you don't need to create when you're in fight or flight. You need to survive.
Totally.
So the whole world, I swear sometimes, so I apologize, but the whole world is functioning right now in the brainstem, basically your primitive brain. The primitive brain's job is to fight, feed, and fornicate. Mm-hmm. Look at society right now. You're sold violence and food on every corner, every TV channel, all the things, right? Food is very accessible, especially in America, on every single corner.
Totally.
And then fornication is condemned through almost every religion in America and then wrapped up in a bow and sold to you.
Sure.
Do I think it's a conspiracy? No. I think we're dealing with so much stress and tension that the brain is literally shutting off, staying into a perpetual state of fight or flight. And in that perpetual state of fight or flight, the body's craving these things that feed the primitive brain.
Sure.
So when I start to adjust you, my job is to take you from this wound up tight spinal cord and go, and it relaxes. And when this thing relaxes, now we start to be able to have higher cognitive thought. The brain starts to come back online in a way that it didn't come online before. Right. We can now move from survival to creation. That's very different in the system, right? Sure. Now, this goes down the road of why I take care of CEOs and entrepreneurs and then that don't have symptoms. Or I take care of a lot of people that are wanting to push the boundaries in life. Then I take care of a lot of people that are suicidal. I just had a man who was suicidal come to me. You name it in the spectrum of all this stuff. We see it. And when that spine, you have more emotional tissue in your back than you do your entire brain. So when the top and bottom pull and twist, where's all that tension go? Right to the mid back. Sure. So our emotional systems, on top of being stressed, are being run ragged, and we can't balance our emotions. Right. We see all of these things I'm talking about everywhere in society right now. Sure. All over the place. And it all comes back to the stress response. So as I take care of you, we calm that system down. When we calm that system down, the body starts to relax. Peace starts to come in. Creation starts to come in. And now the system heals itself from all kinds of things. Sure. Left and right. You name a symptom, I can tell you how it's controlled by the spinal cord. And let's use the adrenals. Everybody wants to pump adrenals into people. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what happens, spinal cord gets way too tight, starts to pull on the brain. Brain starts to freak out. Signals to the body, I need more adrenals to handle all this stress. Adrenals start pumping like crazy. Right. Okay. Adrenals have to keep pumping because you don't take the tension off the spinal cord anymore. Sure. So they keep pumping. Well, they run out. When they run out, we pull calcium from the bone to be able to figure out how to make more adrenals. Now we have osteoporosis and we have an adrenal fatigue and the body's freaking out. Totally. So what do? We give them adrenals and we give them whatever bone stuff, vitamin D or whatever. That's which is fine. But the symptom, or those are the symptoms. The cause is the tension on the spinal cord that is putting us in a perpetual state of fight or flight.
So how does this tie to vagus nerve?
Yeah. It controls everything.
Isn't it just the vagus nerve is
being wrung dry in essence, right? So the vagus nerve comes right out of here at the brainstem, runs right in front of the atlas, comes all the way down, hits basically your stomach, controls a little bit of your heart, controls a little bit of your lungs, liver. It goes everywhere. Yep. Your entire digestive system is controlled by that vagus nerve. Right. If someone's having issues with their bowels, I bat like a 99%. It's crazy because, okay, fight or flight, boom, body's stressed out. Yeah. In essence, what that means for everybody is that your body thinks it's running away from a lion all the time.
Totally. Whoa. So you're never in rest or digest.
Rest or digest. Ever.
Unless you actively do something to get there, which is probably why everyone's reaching for wine, alcohol, comfort food, because they're trying to just quickly get the hit of I'm okay. Exactly, it's going to be okay. But really, we're just further inflaming ourselves.
We are. The cycle gets worse. Not creating
a long-term solution at all.
Yep.
And then if you get a massage, for example, all of a sudden you'll be like, okay, it's okay. But then the minute I step out of the massage, life hits you again. Yep. iPhone, kids, the chaos of life.
Because we didn't increase adaptability. Right. We just put a Band-Aid on it, right? So we need to talk about the brain reward cascade system. And then this is the analogy I give everybody. You step on the dog's tail, the dog barks. Mm-hmm. All of society, we have in essence created trillions of dollars in treating the bark. The foot on the tail has no symptoms. Okay. That's why it's very hard to find.
Sure.
But if you're looking at me, hey, jackass, take the foot off the dog's tail and it'll stop barking, right? But you can muzzle the dog, inject the dog, tape the dog, give the dog a pill, and it will stop barking. Okay, but the problem isn't fixed if you don't take the foot off the tail. Totally. Your tail is your brain and spinal cord. It has no symptoms associated with, you can have neck pain and stuff, but bear with me. In essence, you have no symptoms associated with it in that aspect. And when you remove the tension from that, you take the foot off the dog's tail. Now the dog doesn't have to bark, but it still can. You want to throw up if you eat something bad.
Sure.
You want a fever if you come in contact with a virus or a bacteria. You want the dog to be able to bark. We don't necessarily want to shut it up. It's trying to tell us something's wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so what you mentioned about wine and everything, you are trying to calm the spinal cord. So we have this system in our brain called the brain reward cascade system. I'm going to do it like this. So every addiction and compulsive disorder comes back to the brain reward cascade system. Okay. So if it is not functioning correctly, it becomes the reward deficiency syndrome.
Okay.
Okay. So how the brain reward cascade system works, 30,000 foot view. As receptor sites, dopamine's floating around. Dopamine goes in, you do something cool. Dopamine goes in. Oh my God, this feels so good.
Sure.
Okay. When tension hits the spine and you start to stretch the spine through that adverse mechanical cord tension, it hijacks the brain reward cascade system and it turns into reward deficiency syndrome.
Okay.
Okay. Reward deficiency syndrome, the dopamine can't dock correctly. So if I have 10 units of dopamine and they can't get there, well, what can I do to increase the possibility that dopamine would dock? We'll put 100 units of dopamine in there.
Sure.
And one of them will probably dock.
Sure.
Well, what creates dopamine? Addictions and compulsive disorders. So food, sex, gambling, drugs, alcohol, boom, big 5 addictions are all going to increase the production of dopamine. And almost all the time when you have an addict, they have a compulsive disorder.
Sure.
Right? Because that then Tourette's and all these other things and, ADD, all that kind of stuff, these compulsive disorders are feeding the dopamine to the brain. When you get the brain and spinal cord functioning correctly, you can use some amino acids to help with that, right? It's pretty amazing. You can rewrite that brain reward cascade system. All the body's doing is trying to calm itself down. It's that smart. This goes back to the beginning. It knows.
No, the body is trying to calm itself down. And everyone I'm looking at, and everyone who comes to me has these complex autoimmune conditions. They're like, I have lupus, I have rheumatoid arthritis, I have osteoarthritis, I have da-da-da-da-da. And I'm looking at them like, okay, guys, I approach everything from the Ayurvedic perspective of like, let's fix sleep, let's fix gut, let's fix all these things. But because I created a supplement and I get to talk to doctors all day, I love how each of you has such a profound toolkit. And I'm a big believer of if the body is not in alignment, like I can tell when I have been away from chiropractic for too long, because I literally feel like everything is tense. Like the back of my neck hurts, upper back. I'm also working out really heavy this week, so everything hurts in general.
That's good.
But it's one of those things where if we're not in alignment and we're constantly in fight or flight, we're in trouble. If we are hitting our Friday night and we are like, I need a glass of wine, if that's the feeling I need, and let's say your week wasn't that rough, it's just been a normal week. Yeah. Like to me, I've been a mom all week. I've run my company all week. Nothing really bad happened. Everyone's living. I'm grateful. So what is the I need? The I need is just everything is under tension. And I'm trying to find a way to release that tension. Yeah. So a lot of what I try to tell women who I talk to mostly is, guys, self-care. Build a self-care rhythm throughout your day. Get out in nature. Learn how to decompress in little ways throughout your day so that you're not waiting. And then you're like, oh my God, it has to be my favorite cheat meal with wine and alcohol. And then I feel worse after.
Yeah. Well, because you didn't really fix anything, right? You actually just perpetuate the cycle. Like, so if it's the same as you have pain in your neck and you take a Tylenol.
Sure.
Well, the Tylenol just made you not feel the pain in your neck. So now you're like moving it around. You're like, woo, this is great. I'm fine. And then all of a sudden the Tylenol wears off and you're like, shit, right? It's worse than it was before. It's the same premise. Like, and so for me, I wanted to go as far upstream in healing as I possibly could. Nice. And so for me, what controls everything on the physical plane? We can have a huge conversation about the spiritual plane and how that's a completely different thing.
And I have a question about that too.
but so for me, it was on the physical plane, brain and spinal cord. And so I tell everybody my job is to bake because cooking these cake shows, like, is it cake or isn't it? Or like the big thing now, my job is to bake a cake that tastes so freaking amazing that you now get to go decorate it however you want. And to me, that's where all the other beautiful things come in. Because if you're under my care and you go get in the sun, you're going to absorb the vitamin D better. If you're under my care, you're going to sleep better because your body doesn't think it's running away from a lion. Right. If you're under my care and you're taking supplements, your body's going to digest them better because the vagus nerve is going to help control the digestive tract, and the digestive tract is going to be able to seep all the nutrients out of it. Sure. If you're under my care and you go to the gym, you're going to be able to vasodilate better because every artery in your body is wrapped in a net of nerves. It's going to tell it to open. You see where this goes?
Yeah.
And so then go do those things at an exponential rate, right? Because there's actually, real quick, and then please ask me the spiritual question because I'll go on and on forever. But there's a wave in the brain called the P300 wave. It's your state of human performance, in essence. Okay. Now they're believing it's potentially linked to the unconscious mind, whatever, but they thought that it was limited, right? How well it could function. But every time I adjust you, your P300 wave increases its potential capacity. And psychology found this. And it increases your potential capacity for wholeness, in essence. So we're showing quite literally that we're limitless. And so the brain's actually updating and learning. Sure. And we're seeing that the brain and spinal cord are updating and learning. That it's amazing. Like, it leaves me speechless all the time.
It is. We can build unlimited pathways and neural pathways. We have capacities way beyond what we think we have. I think if anyone's been to personal development, we can all go to a TR, Tony Robbins conference, and bounce around and each year exponentially grow and come back to it. And he's one example. There's even newer examples than that. My spiritual question was, you mentioned third eye. Third eye in the chakra system, as we pronounce here, is ajna, third eye. If that connection exists, brain, brainstem, spinal cord, and it ends there, have you seen people have like these huge spiritual epiphanies?
Yes. Because
finally you cleared the like traffic jams.
Yes.
And so all of a sudden, like, that potentiality is just boom.
Yeah. Like every week. It's crazy. And I've had people come to me that will come to get adjusted before they have a big business meeting or business deal, because it's like, I come to you, I get in alignment, I'm vibrating high, and I close every time. Nice. I've had people come, it was funny. She came the first time, closed a $10,000 deal, came the next time, closed a $100,000 deal right after.
Sure.
And I mean,
you opened your channels.
Opened everything up.
And that we call it Sushumna as well. Like, that's the channel that we have from a spiritual standpoint. Yes, it's the spinal cord and the physical body. Yeah. But if you looked at it in the energetic body, like, that's take the kinks out of that thing. And what's your potentiality? Anything.
And so this
is your auric field.
Yes. So now you're talking. Now I'm getting goosebumps because this is what I like, but I don't want to lose people, right? Sure. So I want to bring them along in what's happening.
Sure.
This is why the vibration of the cord matters. So if the vibration of the cord is so specific to who you are that it's a better identifier than your fingerprint, think of that thing as this beam of golden light that has to connect to something. So
exactly.
In my world, that's God.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying white bearded God. I just use that term, right? Like universe, spirit, whatever it is, they're all the same thing in my mind.
Me too.
And so that is literally the way I look at it, is this golden beam that just is linked, this thread that goes all the way up.
Yeah.
Boom. And if that thread then is, when it's in a perfect alignment and perfect vibration, is just bold and gold and freaking awesome.
Totally.
But when it starts to get distorted with tension, it's like flickering, like the light, right? And that's what's happening. And then all the extension of that light through the whole body and the energetic field, we want to talk law of attraction. Yeah. Spinal cord actually drops its vibrational frequency to 64 hertz. That's low. Aberrant neural tissue fires at 64 hertz frequency. That's why the way I do everything, it has to be in a very specific manner to disrupt the 64 hertz frequency.
Sure.
If this spinal cord is the core of your connection to divinity, and then the core of your energetic field around you, and it's vibrating at 64 hertz, what do you think you're sucking in from the universe? Horrible.
Yeah.
When I adjust you and I bring that thing into alignment and you start to function at whatever your divine frequency is or whatever your vibration is, that sphere around you changes. The way you walk changes. The way you talk changes. I wish I would have taken videos of this man who was suicidal that came to me. He came to me. He was suicidal. We adjusted him. I adjusted him the first day, came back the second day, saw him 2 weeks later. When I saw him 2 weeks later, he had found a lady partner and got a haircut and got a job. And then I saw him a month later, and this man is walking up straight. I mean, he owns life now. He's like, life is my bitch.
Nice.
Right? Because we got the shit going in the right direction. Instead of the world is ending, doom and gloom.
Right.
Brother, there's other women out there. There's other this out there. I promise you, like, we just got to get you out of that trauma response that's happening in the brain, that loop. We break the loop. We increase the vibrational frequency of the spine, and good shit just started sucking into him like crazy.
It's true.
This is how law of attraction works. This is one of the missing links that nobody talks about. If your vibration's dog shit, you get dog shit.
Exactly. And that'll be your whole life.
Your whole life.
And it's funny for me, I built my supplement company 8 years ago. And I can tell you honestly, I have just been slogging through, like as if we are in the mud swamps of hell.
Yep.
And I am just climbing that mountain, pushing that boulder up. And I stuck through it because I knew what I created was epic. And I knew I was born to change the world. But I couldn't understand, being a smart girl and a hardworking girl, how I wasn't winning. Got through 5 years of it. And every year I was like, I should quit. This is shit. I don't understand. And then finally at year 5, a lot of things shifted in my life, but most of it was energetic. Probably also I meet all the coolest practitioners, and then I go to all of you guys, and then I get to be the healthiest girl on the planet. So I do the work.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 2021, the company just went boom, straight up 3x'd the company. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wow, I'm the shit. Like, wow.
And effortless.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yep. Okay. And then I was like, I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to 3x again. Life didn't quite go that way, but I went 25% this year, increase in sales, in people taking the product and feeling the benefit. And now a lot of the work I do is just, can I be my healthiest and clearest self? Can I check in every day with my golden light? Can I take that golden light and feel what my field is? And I every single day just magnetize what I want in the universe to me.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm asking for. I ask the universe, I'm here to serve. Please tell me how I may serve. And please show me the way.
That's it.
Remove the obstacles and let's go. And now I can tell you, I kind of find it insane, the level of things that are coming at me. I'm like, okay, please keep me healthy on the journey too, guys. Like, let's just make sure I don't get like obese and sick on the way. Like, I need to keep up my self-care and health on the way. But it's a testament to what you're saying, because as entrepreneurs, as people out there in the world who are change makers, who want an impact, our channel matters as much as how much bone density I have or how much muscle density.
I would argue it matters more.
Yeah.
I would argue it matters more because you can, and then
everything.
We're tiptoeing into a world where now the physical plane doesn't matter.
Sure.
And I've seen like the healings that have happened in my office on a regular basis they defy logic in the physical plane.
Sure.
But when you start to work like we're talking now towards the end or part of the episode, it makes perfect sense.
Right.
Right. And also why it matters so much is when you walk into my office, you're walking into my energetic field.
Sure.
You do not control that.
Correct.
I control that. Right. And so, the second you walk into my office, if we want to talk again, you start healing.
Right.
You cannot be in my sphere and around me and not heal. It's an intention I hold. It's an image I hold. It's something I work with every single day. We are going to uplift everything. Much like you said, you're going to do huge things in this world, right? You're going to change the world. This is like, it's funny. My, like I'll talk about things and I had somebody and they're like, well, I mean, you're not Jesus. And I'm like, but that's the standard I hold myself to.
Yeah. Can't we all be God-like?
Yeah. Well,
in our impact in the world?
I mean, if he's omnipresent and omnipotent and all everywhere and all the things, then we are. And so then I would have a very long discussion about how I am actually God, but we don't have to go there today.
Yeah, I can see how it can rub people the wrong way. But if you just think about that from a purely spiritual standpoint, if God is omniscient and the universe is all within us and we are all God-like, then can't we all just be our highest and best vibration self?
Well, and in my profession and what I do, I regard Jesus as the greatest healer to ever walk the planet. I don't think he was necessarily the greatest spiritual teacher or so. I mean, it seems like Buddha has affected more people than he has in terms. And again,
they're also
none of these things are right or wrong. It's just when I look at things, I look at Jesus as the greatest healer to ever walk the planet because of the things that were documented that he was able to do.
Sure.
Why wouldn't I want to aspire to that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I am him. I'm not a crazy person, but I do aspire to have a level of like, hey, we can accomplish miracles every time that the brain and spine are in alignment.
Sure.
Your body can achieve anything. you can go through, I mean, my God, there was the one medical research thing where they took people with cancer and they told them they had this new experimental drug and it was saline solution. They injected it in them. They were like, well, it's going to cure you of cancer. Right. Every person got cured of cancer. Then they told them, oh, sorry, we gave you the saline solution. And all the cancer came back. And then they're like, oh, look, we actually got the right one. And it gave them saline solution again and it went away.
Oh my God.
So
yeah.
I mean, now we've taken this conversation to a whole nother world. And this is what I can talk about all day. This is my passion. I love the subconscious mind. I love studying healing, where it comes from, why it happens, how we can be in control of it, where you actually don't need me or you or this or any of it if we choose not to. That takes a lot of work. Yeah. Most people aren't willing to put in that work. So then let's just call a spade a spade. I'm not willing to necessarily put in that much work because it's very hard. Yeah. But I'm going to use the tools that are in front of me, and it doesn't make sense not to.
Oh, I agree.
I'm going to take the path of least resistance to the way I want to go. Yeah. And if I have firmly believe everything you said, to where when I come back to, if I owe it to my patients to be in the highest vibration possible because I'm very expensive.
Sure.
And that's what you're paying for. But when I do that, everything else just starts to fall into place. Like if there's a difficult patient, they just cease to come in anymore. I don't have to have difficult conversations.
Sure.
They can't vibrate at that frequency. They go away. And then 3 replace them. Yeah. It's really how it works.
Yeah. And it's such a powerful reminder that as practitioners, we have our energetic field. We create it. We work to create it. We work to maintain it. And in that alone is what's going to attract that best person to us who needs us the most. Yep. You know, some people I meet at like a very 101 level with Ayurveda and I'm like, we just need to talk here. And then some people want like the whole enchilada with functional medicine and full testing. And I'm like, let's go. But I love just meeting the person where they're at and saying, okay, let's get you healed from here. And also to your point, yes, our energetic field and all those things do a lot, but I'm still here on this earthly plane with this physical body.
Yes.
And it has its own template issues.
It does.
It does. I know my imbalances. I know I'm always like right, left, one leg shorter, one leg. Who knows what the different things are that cause the imbalances or the patterns I have that keep causing imbalance.
Well, we're here meant to live on this planet. Like, and that's part of, I don't meditate for more than 15 minutes a day. But that's it. You get 15 minutes. Whether
15 is great, by the way. Yeah. Good job.
Well, I use Brain Tap. I use Brain Tap, so I augment it a little bit. You know, I use whether we created, it came from a little amoeba, whether God created us the way the Bible says, whether aliens dropped us off, whatever it is, we were meant to be in the physical plane, not spend all of our time trying to get out of it.
Sure. I see that a lot too.
And I'm like, guys, come back. Come back. It's awesome here. It's fun.
It is fun here.
You know,
it's fun here. As long as you feel good in your body and you have control over that.
Yes.
You can go to practitioners and get aligned again. Yeah. You can shift your vibration. You can take a problem and solve it. Yeah. You can also invest in all the ways that you can all of a sudden shift your entire life's vibration.
Everything.
And then win at a whole new level.
Well, and that's my favorite. Like I love taking care of the CEO. I love taking care of the extreme cases and then like the CEOs. Cause like the way I look at it is like I'm helping the extreme cases that everybody has just washed to the side because they can't figure it out. Sure. I love it. And then I love the CEOs because I'm like, man, if I can give them that 1% edge to make them better, they're the ones that are out there trying to create a better world. And that's amazing. Yeah. You know, like let's push those boundaries. So it's such a blessing to be able to work in both arenas.
Sure.
You know, and it's like, which is important to me.
And also at the very beginning, you spoke about creativity. And I think a lot of times people say, I have writer's block. I don't know. I don't feel like I can do that. And I think we can constantly play into our creative self, but we do need access. And so if, for example, I'm going to be sitting down to write a book over the next 6 months, that's my job. For me to get into a creative mode, I have to be my healthiest. So I will book total self-care days. I'll do like float tank and yoga and exercise. But I told someone recently, I said, I'm going to go check into a hotel for a week or two, because if I don't check out of my existing life and patterns and templates, I don't see how I can get clicked into a creative mode and hold that vibration and space and then write for days on end. But what you reminded me of is even physically, if you're going to show up to writing and your spine and everything is still in fight or flight, you're going to fight 20 times harder
20 times
to get into that creative mode that you want to be in.
100%. I will get you through any creative blocks you have. I've done it with multiple people. You're in good hands. You're going to write a badass book, by the way. I promise you, it's going to be amazing. But it's true. And, you know, when you talk about like, you talked about the physical and how like there's the block. Dang, I can't remember what I was going to say about that, but it was probably awesome.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you have the way I think of it as roadblocks, and like you mentioned the spine and how there's all these twists and turns, I can just imagine how most of us in society are like running around with these like kinked garden hoses that are only giving like our thyroid 10% of what it needs, and our liver is not getting what it needs, our adrenals not getting what it needs. And then we're sitting around saying, gosh, I just don't feel good. I'm fatigued. I have daily headaches. Yeah. I have joint pain. I don't understand what's wrong with me. My hormones are off. Yeah. What I see is a lot of women hit perimenopause and menopause inflamed and depleted. Oh, yeah. Depleted is what you're talking about here. And then you just don't have the stuff. Like you don't have the energy, the oomph, the tools to get through it. And so it hits you that much harder.
Well, yes, it 100% hits you that much harder. And people that are under care, I've helped a lot of people with menopause because now you're going through menopause. It's a real thing. It's going to happen. It's made to happen. It's supposed to happen. But menopause, much like I believe your menstrual cycle, are supposed to be beautiful things that are not painful.
Sure.
They're just not.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you're taking care of yourself, they won't be. I've seen tons of women go through both of those things in a beautiful manner. Right. But I remember what you were talking about, and I talk a lot about the energetic signature that we give everything. And the energetic signature that we give everything is going to be the vibration that we are holding while we do the thing.
Sure.
So when you're writing your book, why it matters so much. The creative aspect, sure. I don't think you're going to lack in that at all. But to me, every word written is going to be written with an energetic signature. And that energetic signature is going to carry with that book forever under every print that is distributed out into society. Yeah. That's why your energy matters.
Yeah.
That's why certain books work, certain books don't take off. You could have two books written in the exact same manner and one's amazing and the other one's not. What was the energy written behind the other person? This is the stuff I like to really dive in and study.
Sure, because if you think about it, that energy signature is what's going to imprint on the reader.
Yes. That's how it works. That's literally how it works.
Either it imprints or it doesn't.
Yes.
And if you're at a low vibration,
when you're writing it,
of course, you're not going to raise their vibration.
Correct. And then you don't change the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the stuff I think about. So like when I'm writing like the children's books and things that I have that are going to be coming out, like it's, where am I at? Yeah. Right? What does it feel like? And then making that distinction between these two things on where we're at, you know, and it's, again, these are the things I could talk about forever. Like the chiropractic work's amazing and I love it, but these thought conversations are literally how I've gotten to the point, because people are like, well, how did you get to the point where you can deliver this level of care? Because these are the things that I think about all day long. Sure. And I'm very cautious about how I'm proceeding and producing what's happening in society for me. And if you get that vibration in the spine in order, that then turns the frontal lobe on, brings our higher cognitive thought online, and we start vibrating that way. Whatever you create, if you're creating a business out of survival mode, it has that energetic signature of survival. But if you're creating it like yours, that it's going to change the world, and creation mode, what does it do?
Sure.
It goes and changes the world.
Right.
Like,
I just got the word in my mind of yoga juice. It's like when you go to yoga, you know, when you go to yoga and you have like the best shavasana of your life and you're like, thank you for all the messages. I feel amazing. Like life is so good. And you walk out of yoga, like the most zen, like you're like Buddha himself.
Yeah.
You're just like, I am so zen. I love everybody. Everybody loves me. I just think that we should all be kumbaya, peaceful beings. And then of course, like you get to your car and then all of a sudden it switches. But that feeling to me is almost like a yoga juice. And it sounds to me like you open all the channels so we get to have that all day long. Yeah,
it's exactly what I do. And literally what you just described is what everybody describes when they leave the office. That's how they feel. Like it's beautiful, right? Yeah. And they're just like, I just don't care that someone cut me off. Whatever, man, get there, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like that's literally how people feel all day. Now imagine what that's like for a CEO.
Yeah.
Imagine that, right? To be able to make decisions from that place. Like one of the things I have been working really, really, really hard in my personal life now, I'm an open book, so I'll peel it back, is not making any decisions for the business or responding to messages or responding to emails or doing anything until I'm in what I would believe is alignment or the highest vibration I can be in that day.
Sure.
I've waited a very long time to respond to things before, an uncomfortable long time.
Sure.
Until I was like, that's the feeling. And then I do it and I send whatever I need to send. And it's like, problem handled.
And it all goes the right way.
It all goes the right way. But if I did it when I thought I had to because it was pressing and and people were like, oh, but I got work and I got to eat. I understand. But sometimes it's worth just waiting and just sending it from that place.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yesterday, I got an email from my factory and they said, you know what? We're no longer going to be able to make deep sleep formula. And I just about lost my mind because I love deep sleep formula. I rely on it for my own life. If people woke up at 2 a.m, I was like, you can take it. I have a new doctor in Tennessee who's amazing and like renowned. She loves it.
Yeah.
So I was like, basically, you're going to make me look like an idiot. And now I'm a jerk and you're canceling my product and I have to go move it. So I wrote this really not nice email to the factory lady who runs it, the COO, because she is on my last nerve. And then I didn't send it because I was like, that is not even you.
Yeah.
That response was not you. Yeah. That response is going to burn some bridges. You're being disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I held the email back. I emailed it to my COO and I was like, I should not send this. I'm just sending it to you. And she picks up the phone and she calls me. She goes, what's going on? I was like, well, this is not fair. We have to go work and make a new product. We're already in development on ashwagandha. Like, what the fuck? She goes, Shivani, what is going on? I was like, I haven't had any carbs today. I'm trying to be good. She goes, Shivani, if you are not fed, the whole world comes to a stop.
Yeah.
Please go eat lunch. I know you're on camera all day and you miss your meals. You have to be happy or the whole company stops.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just like, wow, true. We forget that our energy field and how we feel physically, mentally, emotionally will spill over into everyone around us.
Everyone. And I'm so glad you didn't send that email.
So if your marriage, for example, now that I thought of that, if your marriage is not working, if your relationship to your children is not working, if your business is not working,
it's you. When I got divorced, when I got divorced, I wrote, I am responsible on my hand. And at the time I didn't think I was responsible because of the things that happened. But it took me from victim to creator.
Sure.
And I was like, and I'm like, okay. And one of the things I'm about to also write a book and be in a book in, one of the topics is, how I do not let Sloan say we have a problem in my house. We do not talk about problems. We talk about opportunities. So every problem has an opportunity in it. Wow. And the opportunity is always bigger and better than the problem. Right. Sure. So like the way I feel on my end, cause I'm vibing real high and it's not my company. Yeah. When you told me that, I'm like, oh God, something awesome's coming. You know, like this company made like, and you won't know, but maybe this company wasn't going to be able to scale because the next 3X is coming. Maybe this company wasn't going to be able to get you the exact product you needed. And then you were going to have like, you don't know what was coming, that the universe was like, hey, let's just deal with it now before it becomes a bigger problem. Yeah. And so the opportunities are hidden in everything. And if we can switch that, we go from victim to creator, and we go from victim to creator. We're in control of our lives. Sure. And it's awesome. And, it's funny you brought that up about like you eating the carbs. Yeah. Or eating or whatever, right?
Yeah. I ate too clean yesterday.
I listened to, someone sent me, I don't know if Bezos was talking about it or they interviewed Bezos or whatever it was, but I think he said something like he always sleeps 8 to 9 hours a night, no matter what. And they asked him why. And he said, because my job is to make 3 really important decisions for this company every year. And I need to be on it because those decisions will determine the next 20, 30, 40 years of the company. Wow. So he knows if his vibration's not right, he can't make the decision. He can't make it out of fear. He can't make it out of scarcity. He can't do that. Yeah. It has to be done from a place of creation and abundance. And when that happens, the energetic signature gets put on it and then it goes that way. Sure. Because that's all the universe responds to. There's not language in the universe. Right. It's true. It's just vibration. So true. And if we could understand that, we could create so many more cool things in the world. Yeah. And we could impact everyone. I think about that a lot with Fusionary. When I created it, I was like, if I can get people out of pain, we just have much nicer people. Of course.
If we had nicer, happier people, we'd all want to help each other instead of just focusing on ourselves.
Of course.
Because when I'm healthy, I want everyone to be happy and healthy. And when I'm in pain, all I can think about is like, man, it's my body. I need to do this today. Like, I'm very self-focused.
Same with wealth.
Oh.
Rich people want other people to be rich. They want more people to hang. I mean, like thoughts I think about in my head is like, okay, I'm going to get to the billionaire mark, and then my friends are not going to be able to tell me anymore they can't go do stuff with me because I'll just give you, I don't know, $2 million to quit your job. Like, because I want you to come on vacation with me. Like, those are the things I think about.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds so crazy, but it's true. It's the same thing. Healthy people want to create more health.
Sure.
Wealthy people want to create more wealth.
And we can really create shifts in society then.
Huge shifts in society.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the drain of the medical system is.
Yes.
Especially in this country.
It's true.
And if you change that, you change everything.
It's true.
Everything you change.
I'm trying to put Ayurvedic medicine as an adjunct tool into all of Western medicine. It's a big dream, but I have the capacity.
You have the capacity.
I have the energetic capacity.
You wouldn't have been given the idea if you didn't have the capacity. Yeah. And that's something I don't think people understand, you know, and a lot of times we'll get these ideas and then it'll feel so good.
Yeah.
And then we go tell our family and our family talks us out of it. And I'm like, no, go back to before you told them. Because if it came to you and you felt it and you were in a high vibration and you were like, I'm unfucking stoppable.
Sure.
That is God.
Totally.
That's what it is. That's the feeling. Hold on to that.
Exactly.
Fuck everybody else.
It's true. The other day, my book name came to me. I'm not going to say it out loud, but my book name came to me and it was 100% crystal clear. Yeah. I bought the domain name. I checked. No one wrote it. I wrote a whole book proposal to Hay House and they said yes. And I was like, what is happening? I thought this was going to take 10 years. I can't believe it just happened. Okay. And then I spoke to my editor. I can't believe I have an editor. And she goes, yeah, I can't believe no one thought of that name. That's incredible. And I was like, I guess it was meant for me. Yeah. And then once we had the meeting, we've already picked a publishing date, like fall 2025. And then I was like, all that feeling of like, oh my gosh.
Of course.
And then I was like, you know what? Get over it.
Who cares?
You were given the idea for the book. You better write the book.
You were given the idea. You were given the tools. You were given the excitement. All you did was lit the way. So I call it the Ways and Means Committee. You lit the Ways and Means Committee. You got on it. You don't want to be on the Ways and Means Committee. It just makes no sense at all, right? Like everything, if you like just pattern the things in your life, you could probably even pattern how you met your husband.
Yeah.
If you were on the Ways and Means Committee of how it was going to happen, you don't meet that guy.
Sure.
Right? Like it's just
totally
not,
no.
Right? So when the stress sets in and when the fear sets in, it means you're trying to control the outcome in a certain manner that you have predetermined in your mind that feels safe.
Sure.
Okay, of course you want to protect yourself. That makes sense. But if we can tiptoe aside from that and go, but how good did I feel when I got the name? If I can just get back to that place, it's going to go and it's going to take off like crazy.
It's true. It's so true. And so I love everything we've shared today, especially because you've highlighted an area of chiropractic that I think 99% of people don't know about.
Well, yeah.
I have met one chiropractor like you back in Houston, Texas through a friend. Maybe one other in Fort Lauderdale, I think. But it's very rare to meet this type of chiropractor who looks at it from a completely different approach and is really looking at opening our channel in a whole new way. So I'm so glad we got to speak today.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Well,
and then I want to share where they can find you.
You're in power. I think that's what I want to share with everybody. You're in power. Whether you see me or you see anyone else, it's not even really about that. It's about taking yourself away from the victim and realizing you're the creator, and whatever path is supposed to be there for you to heal is going to present itself. It could be a book. True. I mean, we can have long conversations about Mary Baker Eddy. People read her book and overnight their bones healed.
Wow.
Yeah. This is back to the energetic signature of the books.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's documented, like crazy things can happen. Right. So that's that. You're in power. Even when you don't feel like you are, I promise you can take it back. That's what I think I want everybody to know. Then if you would like to find me, phone number 561-573-4580. A website will be done in the next few months. Okay. I am a ghost. I don't have websites. So, but if you look up Alchemy, ALCHEMY, Chiro, CHIRO.com, or Alchemy Chiro Inc. on Google in Delray Beach, Florida, cool. It'll come up. I'm working on becoming I've been referral only my whole life, and I'm working on like actually having real things now. It's time.
Sure. And then will you share your podcast?
Yes. And so my passion project is my relationship with my daughter. I'm a single father, and my podcast is called It's Dad Time with Doc Rock. You can find it everywhere.
Nice.
It's the podcast, and that Instagram is It's Dad Time _. And reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. If you're an awesome father or an awesome mother that has a badass story, follow me and send me a DM. Let's get you on the podcast, because it's all about hearing real people's shit that they're going through.
Yeah.
And how we handle it. Because I don't know, my daughter's 6, and I told her the other day, I'm like, baby girl, just bear with dad. It's the first time I've ever had a 6-year-old. And she goes, well, it's the first time I've ever had a dad. And I'm like, so we'll figure it out. I'm like,
exactly.
So yeah, it'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, so lovely having you on the podcast. So amazing.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Thank you. Such an epic conversation that went in a lot of ways I did not expect. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I'll see you next time.
Yes. Perfect.
Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.